The air was thick with tension that morning, a quiet, almost imperceptible hum that seemed to settle over the valley like a warning. Karen had awoken, as she always did, fueled by obsession, and her target was clear: my grandfather's century-old residence. The house had stood for more than 100 years, a testament to resilience, history, and careful stewardship. Its walls held decades of family memories. Its timber beams carried stories passed down through generations. And Karen, in her insatiable drive to assert dominance, had decided it was hers to destroy. I received the call while standing on the northern porch, the pond shimmering behind me in the early light. My grandfather's voice was steady but firm on the line. "They're planning to raze the house," he said. "They think they can erase history because it inconveniences them." I tightened my jaw. Over the years, Karen and her loyalists had tried every tactic: intimidation, legal harassment, fake citations, even physical threats. But nothing had prepared them for the force of a man who had weathered more storms than they could imagine. My grandfather, at 82, was not just a symbol of resilience. He was a strategist, a living ledger of decades of lessons in vigilance, law, and tactical thinking. By the time Karen's demolition crews arrived, we were ready. Surveillance cameras, hidden but precise, had already recorded the approach of her vehicles. Drones hovered quietly above, transmitting live footage to our secured network. I watched as excavators and construction trucks rumbled along the driveway, unaware that every step they took was being tracked, documented, and prepared for immediate legal action. My grandfather stepped onto the front porch, leaning slightly on his cane, but his presence alone was commanding. He wore no armor, carried no weapon, yet his gaze sliced through the morning haze, warning anyone foolish enough to cross him. "You will do nothing," he called out to the crews, his voice calm but unwavering. "Turn these machines around, or face the consequences of trespassing and destruction of historical property." The foreman of the demolition crew, a man hired by the HOA without knowledge of the real situation, faltered. He glanced at the trucks behind him, hesitated, and then at the old man before him. My grandfather's reputation had preceded him. Whispers of his influence, his connections, and his uncompromising nature spread faster than any legal notice could. Meanwhile, I coordinated from the control center inside the house. The phones were alive with messages from federal and local authorities, all ready to respond to any illegal act. I had pre-filed emergency restraining orders and permits, and my team was prepared to move in at the first sign of aggression. Karen had imagined that bureaucracy and intimidation could work in her favor, but she had miscalculated the depth of our preparation. Inside the residence, my kin assisted my grandfather, ensuring that sensitive documents, antiques, and family heirlooms were safe. Every corner of the house had been scanned, secured, and shielded from potential harm. The pantry, the study, the attic, all fortified in a way that balanced accessibility with security. Outside, tension mounted as Karen arrived herself, furious at the delay. She stomped along the driveway, waving her arms and shouting orders. "This is my authority. You cannot resist me," she screamed, voice carrying over the quiet valley. But even her words, loud and venomous, could not pierce the layers of preparation that had been meticulously laid. My grandfather, unshaken, stepped forward and spoke directly to her. "Authority is meaningless without law, without ethics, without the consent of those you claim to serve. Your power ends here." Karen's face flushed red with fury. She called the HOA council on her phone, demanding immediate legal action, threatening fines, penalties, and arrest. Little did she know, every call, every threat, every plan was being recorded, time-stamped, and logged for evidence. In her desperation, she had played directly into our hands. Within minutes, federal agents arrived. Black SUVs rolled down the driveway, agents moving with quiet authority, their presence alone halting the demolition crews. Karen's plans unraveled in real time. The federal authorities confirmed that the property was legally protected as a historical site, that any attempt to destroy it would constitute multiple felony charges, including trespassing, destruction of property, and conspiracy. Karen's fury boiled over as she realized the depth of her miscalculation. She could not intimidate my grandfather, could not override the law, and could not use her position in the HOA to achieve her destructive goals. Her authority crumbled with every official step taken by those enforcing the law. The crews, now aware of the legal ramifications, abandoned their machines. Excavators stopped mid-dig, trucks idled uselessly, and Karen was left alone in the driveway, powerless and enraged. My grandfather, calm as ever, gestured toward the house. "History is not yours to erase," he said. "This house stands because of vigilance, integrity, and the courage to defend it. Your threats end here." By the afternoon, the HOA's attempt to raze the house was fully nullified. Karen's influence was diminished further, her reputation in tatters. The federal agents escorted her from the property, and the demolition crews departed, none daring to return. The house stood tall, century-old beams and all, a monument to resilience, family legacy, and the certainty that preparation and courage could withstand even the most obsessive adversary. That evening, my grandfather sat on the porch, sipping tea, looking out over the pond. "They will learn eventually," he said quietly. "But we must always be ready." And I knew he was right. Karen's obsession might never die, but her power to harm, her ability to intimidate, had been stripped away completely. The house, our legacy, our sanctuary, it was safe. And in the valley, that was victory enough.